The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast.
Is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Hosted by three BFFs, Daddy Diwali, Chipotle Bear, and Bubble Boy and Seven.
And new intern, X-Bacon Gamin'.
This is Cortana. And remember, don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. As always, Spartans, see you online.
Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Guys, I am so pumped to be here right now. I've just been blessed with so many good video games. Like, I was thinking about it on the way home. It's crazy. I am so excited. I don't even care about the FTC caca. I am so excited to talk video games with you tonight. So joining me as always is the co-host Chipotle Bear. Chipotle Bear, how are you?
I'm doing great, bud. I was telling our friends here before we started that I'm back to work this week, again, in education as an administrator. So getting ready for our big leadership launch here next week. But it's fine. Actually, I don't mind being at work in the summer. The only bummer is they often turn off the air conditioning in the summer because it doesn't make sense to cool the whole school for like 5 of us. So the good news is I'm losing weight while I work because I'm just sweating all day. Otherwise, man, happy to be here. Also very excited to talk about video games and, of course, some big news I can't wait to get into with Bacon.
And joining us as always is the assistant to the co-host, X-Bacon Gaming, straight back from Hawaii. How are you?
Did you hear that? Assistant to the co-host, Chapo?
Did I say something? Okay,
I did.
Demoted. Intern to the assistant to the co-host. Back. All right.
Yes, gentlemen, I am back from the sunny shores of Hawaii. Every single plane was delayed. It was really awesome. Wife's a little under the weather. I seem to have missed that one.
Ooh, that's lucky.
Yes, it might be the dreaded C word. She's not doing well, but it is what it is. I'm ready to talk video games. This week, or the last 2 days, have been super saucy. So let's get into it.
And making his grand return, I'm going to call him now the special guest, the special unpaid guest under the intern to the assistant to the co-host.
Wow.
Please welcome back Mr. MT Kennedy 7 or M Ken 10. I can't remember. He's got so many dang names. Welcome back, Matthew Kennedy, back to the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. You guys get paid to do this?
No,
he pays you?
I assure you we don't.
I mean, technically I pay for like, no, they chip in for that too. No, this is all unpaid.
I was going to say he pays with love. That's also
it is. Hey, listen, that is the best type of currency. It is good to be
love
back.
of the craft.
So guys, seriously though, welcome to the show. I really am super pumped, and maybe it's because I'm back home, back to the greatest time zone in the world, out of that heinous Eastern time zone. Mike, I don't know how you live out there, Matthew. I don't care what you say. Mountain is the best, you guys, because Matt, when we have football games on, it's 11:30, 2:30, and you've got the rest of it. And then Monday Night Football, Sunday night, it's 6:30. It's incredible. You still can do stuff afterwards. For you, what is that? It's probably like 1 a.m. when some of these games end. Do you hate missing out on life and doing activities after sporting events? So talk to me about this Eastern time zone and how you live.
Yeah, football starts at 1 o'clock. It's just what it is.
It's a lot of pre-gaming to get there.
Yeah. I mean, we got Thursday night football. I don't unless the Chiefs are playing. Sorry, Broncos fans, but unless my team is playing, I'm not watching Thursday night football because I got school the next day. And Sunday night, that can be tough too. Yeah, you're right. But listen, I don't catch any of those West Coast games. It's just,
the best coast.
So you have no idea who the Denver Nuggets are and the world champion Denver Nuggets because you never.
Listen. I know who those world champion Denver Nuggets are. Congratulations to those Nuggets. You guys, they earned it.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Welcome to the chat, Nell. Nell, hope you're feeling better. Hope you don't got that Rona again from Jose. You guys, I think this entire time I've avoided it. I don't know how. Did get a little sneezy coffee on the way back from, where was I? Pennsylvania, but I'm feeling pretty good otherwise. So, guys, let's jump into some huge nerd chat shout outs, Jose. And I can always count on an old reliable Mr. BigBox 1431 wrote in on our last YouTube video. He said, Nobleman, As a listener, one desires to learn more about the individuals that comprise the Xbox Nerd Chat panel. Could each of you name a game you feel is most underappreciated in the industry? A game you'll go to bat for because everyone else just doesn't get it. And I know I didn't send this to you, Matt, so I apologize in advance. So I'll give you, we'll have you go last, give you some time to think about it. But I have three big box. And some of these I know some people might be like, that's kind of easy. And I've said them before, but here are my three big bucks. Number one, Prey 2017.
Banger.
One of the greatest games I have played in the past 10 years, hands down. Matt, how would you describe it? This is like a rogue. Well, no, the DLC is like a roguelike. This is like
this was like a sim, right? Like
a first person.
What do they call it? Like it's like
I know, where you can interact with everything. I can't think of the word.
and like choose your way and interact with the way you want to do it.
What's the first game?
Immersive sim.
Immersive sim. And then the first game, the game that's getting the HD re-release that's coming out. System Shock. It's like a System Shock.
Yeah.
It's Soul. Also, super creepy environment. I love how you can choose multiple paths. Interesting story. I was a little. Did you beat it, right, Matt?
I actually just beat it a few months ago.
Okay, so
for the first time.
I don't want to talk about it, but the ending, some people, I was blown away. I did not see it coming. I don't know if I liked it, but I enjoyed my journey to it. I've gotten every achievement on that, every DLC achievement. I thought about going for the platinum. I think I have it on PS4, and maybe someday I will do that as well. One of the best games I've ever played. It is kind of like a running joke between a lot of people on the internet. They like everyone needs to go play Prey. Ainsley Bowden is a big fat fan of it as well. And then I had my second game on here. And if you'll notice, these are a lot of Xbox One generation games. Quantum Break. I loved Quantum Break. The story I felt like might be one of Remedy's best because it was more simple to understand, and I appreciated the time. What's the word I'm looking for? You don't go travel back in time, do you? Anyway, I don't know, the time travel in general in the game, I
Like
really
the time
appreciated.
break. Like you do
Yes,
like the time
you're breaking
breaks.
the time. Yeah, exactly. And fantastic acting, fantastic actors all across the board. We forget it had Sean Ashmore, had the guy from The Hobbit that I can't remember, and The Lord of the Rings, I can't remember, and Lost. What is his name? His brother. It had what's his face who just recently passed away. I feel awful, from Destiny. And another guy, two other guys from HBO series. If you haven't played Quantum Break, fantastic game, setting up Control, and everybody loves Control. And Matt, you just finished Control as well.
Just finished Control, and that I loved.
Everybody loves that, but Quantum Break started that. Again, this is a game that started some of these awesome mechanics in games, specifically for Remedy. And then, speaking of starting mechanics, another one from the Xbox One generation, probably the greatest exclusive on Xbox One, Sunset Overdrive. If Sunset Overdrive would have come out today, people would be raving about it because it'd be like the new Xbox, a new IP. It's got these fun mechanics. It's goofy. It's out there. But when it came out, it was the dark days of Xbox One. It was just after the launch of the Xbox One. Everybody was hating on it. Sony was already taking a demanding lead with PS4s. I remember this came out in the fall, and I remember it was a stacked fall. It was not a good release date.
Was it outshadowed by like Black Flag? What outshadowed it? Or like out or
this
out?
was after. This came out in 2014, so it was after the launch of Xbox One and PS4 in 2013. But I just remember it was a stacked fall with other, like Call of Duties and like all those other games, and maybe Dragon Age might have been 2014 if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that was Game of the Year, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it was forgotten. And honestly, Sunset Overdrive should have won Game of the Year that year. But those are three games that I immediately can think of where they are fantastic games that set up Remedy, that set up Spider-Man with Insomniac. Like so many of the mechanics that are in Sunset Overdrive, you can feel and appreciate in Spider-Man. And then I would also say one more is Recore. A lot of people hate on Recore, but Recore had awesome fun shooting mechanics, great platforming, almost like a Jedi Survivor, only not as good. And
Is
so
it still on Game Pass? Recore?
Yes, all of these games I've mentioned are on Game Pass, ironically enough. So you can play all of them. I think if you for some reason haven't played these, these are games that I will defend until my death, that I think are absolutely fantastic games, overshadowed by the bad Xbox One launch, and I can't recommend them enough. And I would I honestly think about replaying these all the time. But guys, we'll talk later. There's just too much to play. So, Jose or Bacon, do you want to share a game that you? Oh, Jose, Gotham Knights. That could be another one right there.
Well, that's a good segue. That's the first one on my list that I have right here is Gotham Knights. I was a champion back in October when it released because I had a ton of fun playing as Batgirl. And granted, I understood the issues, I understood the complaints, but honestly, everybody just wrote it off because it was 30 FPS. Like, just come as soon as that came out, they did a poor job of marketing
unfair.
that.
I was a
Everybody
part
just
of that.
said, yeah, you were exactly part of that. You said, I can refuse to play. They should have everything. We should be FPS or 60 FPS.
To be
And I was like,
fair, I do think it would play better if it was 60, but I'm just,
of course it
I'll
would.
let it
Every game would play better if it was 60 F. But I'm saying it was an awesome game. It was a cool story. The lore from the Court of Owls is amazing. So everybody play that if you can. I still think it's worth it, especially if you get a deal for Black Friday or Prime Days or whatever it is. The other two I've mentioned this one several times, and I swear to you, it is one of my favorite games to play, and that is Stardew Valley. Like, I play it on my iPad. I play it on my
But I don't
Xbox.
think that's
I play it.
underrated, Jose.
But you know, so many people when I say it, they're like, they look at it and they're just like, it's a farming sim, and I was like, it's not though. It is, but it's a much bigger story, and it's just something I can go back to. That's what I love about it. Like, I can leave it alone for months and go back, and I'm right where I left, which is amazing. And it's also not a big file, which is just nice for the portability. The last one, I just got cut off for a second there. The last one is Code Veronica, Resident Evil Code Veronica. I played it originally on the Dreamcast. It was one of the, after the initial games when I was younger, that was one of the first ones that kind of got back into the.
You can pass on this.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Everyone underestimates it, man. But
I think that's the one that's going to be remade next.
I think so too. I hope so too. You get to play against like the Nosferatu. You get to play as Claire, which is awesome. You know, it was one of the first games where you actually got to start with a weapon that was usable because they were starting to fix some of the controls a little bit finally. So I certainly hope they do a remake. I will be there day one to play it if I can. Those are my three. Bacon.
So the first one that comes to mind for me, huge game in Korea, but it's not. It's very niche. That would be StarCraft 2. It's just real-time RTS games. It's probably one of the best games ever made. Huge skill gap there if you go against someone that knows what they're doing in some PvP, and you'll straight get smashed. But the cutscenes, the quality of them, just coming up with new different tactics for attacking a map or attacking a guy's defenses. I really hope it comes to console, so the console only crowd will do something and get it and really experience what an RTS really truly is. Absolutely fantastic game. So is it underrated? It's probably underrated everywhere other than Korea.
But Bacon, if I let's say it comes out, because I would love to try it. Am I just going to get smashed the second I boot it up, or is there like a campaign I can?
There's
play
a full campaign, just like Diablo. There's also some PvE stuff. You can buy expansions to do other stuff. And you can also just play the computer and set your difficulty so you can get used to doing stuff like that. Made the mistake of getting in a lobby with some Korean gamers, and they just
rookie mistake.
Oh my god, I was just like insane. The other one is a game from the NES days. It would have to be a game called Blaster Master. You drive around a little tank, 3D platform or 2D platformer, and you have missiles on your tank, and it was so insanely hard. I probably have 10,000 hours in that game trying to beat it, and I never did beat it. Underrated in the days when ratings weren't really a thing. It's just a game that needs more love, and you can play that on your Switch on the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. It's a title that's in there if anyone's wondering. And then my last one, I'm gonna have to go with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the greatest game ever made, next to
that's a masterpiece.
Next to Mass Effect. Any platformer like that can almost bring me to tears at the end of a game has done its job. Best gameplay you'll ever experience on a platformer, I feel. So if you have not played Ori in the Blind Forest, followed up by Will of the Wisps, you're doing yourself an injustice.
Yeah, dude,
I played them. They're on
and fantastic games.
Well, aren't they Xbox exclusives?
They were, but then
that's probably why it's underrated, because they're on the Switch, but it never.
Oh, see, because this is my first Xbox, so it's on my.
It was
list.
on PC too.
Oh,
definitely,
dude, Matt. These literally, I I think Super Metroid is like the definitive best Metroidvania game of all time. But the more I think about it, I think Ori might have passed
Matt,
it.
they're great
There's-
games to stream.
there's
Like,
bud.
they
They're
are-
great
they have
games.
And
heart
I
in
mean,
those games.
emotional. They're
Yeah.
difficult, but they're not. Well, if you play
Oh,
it
they
on
look
hard mode,
beautiful too. Like
yeah, the art, the
love-
platforming, the combat, it's fair. And it's there's a story there too, man. It is, dude, it's everything, man. I'm jealous of you that you get to play.
Did you
it
guys
for
play
fun.
Celeste?
Yeah, way better than Celeste. I didn't
Oh,
think Celeste
Okay,
was that
better
good.
than Celeste. Okay.
Oh, destroys
All right,
Celeste.
so I was listening to you guys. I'll do the segue because I heard somebody say Mass Effect, and I'm trying to like look over at my collection of games over here on the shelf. And so actually my first Mass Effect game was Mass Effect Andromeda. And that game gets
No shame, bud. No shame.
gets a ton of flack, but
Best combat
know,
of all the games, Matt.
it
Worst story.
felt, and I still haven't played Mass Effect 3 because I have the collection. What's the collection called?
The Legendary
new
Edition.
Legendary. So the Legendary Edition. So I played 1, I played 2. I'm about to play 3. I haven't played it yet. Don't tell me anything because I
You
actually
see
have
the big
avoided
N7
spoilers.
behind Danny's
Oh,
freaking
I know.
out.
Yeah.
I see it. Hey, listen, I'm catching up. All I got left is 3. But I actually enjoyed Andromeda. So I mean, the combat was solid. The story was, I thought it was cool, like hundreds of years after, and like I like the introduction of the new characters and stuff like that. But I mean, I
Matt,
definitely
I'll say
saw
that's
problems.
okay. Like, it's I like that it's completely separate and it doesn't really spoil or talk too much about what happens at the end of 3. So you haven't had that basically ruined for, unless I don't know. I guess the game's 10 years old now.
Well,
but
I
if
also
you're
played the game at launch, so it has been a while. But
3
yeah.
is the
But yeah,
goat.
so not much is spoiled for 3, but I just liked how separate it was, holding on to the Mass Effect name and using new characters and the powers and stuff. It was cool, a little underrated.
I think that's a good one,
Um,
Matt. Actually, that's a good one.
My next one, which I heard somebody mention Gotham Knights, and as much of an Arkham fan as I was, did you guys play the Mad Max game?
No.
Yes.
Was it good?
I did.
Underrated game.
That's fair.
It's WB. It takes that
Good combat.
the combat is awesome. You get to build the car. It's a cool world. It uses the Mad Max lore. It's just a fun fun game.
It is a fun game, and I enjoyed my time. I remember I got it for like $5 or $10, but I have to say, what's funny is I've never watched either of the Mad Max films when I played that game. I know, right? I haven't seen
the original
new
ones?
There's more than
None of
2
them. I haven't
Mad
seen.
Max films.
I haven't seen.
There's a
any.
few of them. You
Yeah,
haven't
sorry,
seen
I haven't
any
seen
of them.
any Mad Max. I know the general concept of it. I know the memes, but I still have yet to go watch the one with Charlize Theron and what's his face.
Oh,
I
that was
need
really
to.
good. That was really good too, actually.
I got that
Was really
poster
good.
on my wall right there.
Furiosa.
But,
She was great,
and-
bud.
For my last one, I think, and I'm looking at the shelf right here, but I can't reach it. I think it's the ultimate, no pun intended, sleeper that everyone loves to talk about: Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs. People sleep on
Fantastic
Sleeping Dogs.
game,
The
dude.
combat, the
Great
story,
game.
the drama, the characters, the
Amazing game.
incredible game. So well written.
Where's my sequel, Matt?
You're never gonna get one. You're never gonna get one.
I know.
I still haven't started it, bud.
Oh,
I
my-
promise. I'm sorry. I mean, there's too much to play, man.
Dude, you'll probably like it better than you like Grand Theft Auto. It's more focused.
Oh,
and
the
it's great
sides, the
compact,
side stuff was
and there's-
great.
It's a
The
good
city was
story.
great.
It's a great music too. Dude, I
Oh
still have
my
some of those
gosh.
songs, man. We'll
the
talk about
kung,
that.
like like the, I don't know if it's kung fu or karate. I don't know what they're doing,
Whatever.
but
Yeah.
everything is it is. Oh, it's good. The drama. There's so much good. It's like, do you like if you like the Yakuza stories and drama and stuff like that?
But you're
it doesn't
actually
go.
playing, not
Right, it-
watching
I know.
cutscene after
I
cutscene
know.
in
There's
Yakuza.
that's the one thing about the Yakuza games. I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't poke fun at itself like a lot of the Yakuza games do, especially recently. There is more of like a serious tone to it, but it is so good. And anyone listening to this is probably saying Sleeping Dogs isn't underrated, but Sleeping Dogs
No,
really
I agree.
is
It's
an
underrated.
game.
That was, I mean, neither Bacon or Jose have played it, right? Or you're probably not even very aware of it. Yeah, exactly. That game, Matt, great pick. And Andromeda,
So good.
a lot of people like to hate on it, but I still think the best combat of all of the Mass Effects and leveling and picking your classes, because you could do anything you wanted. So great picks there, Matt. I love it. Great question. Big Box. Thank you so
Big
much
box.
for writing in. Guys, before we jump into the news, I just want to talk to the chat. Shout out to Goose. Goose said, love how Bacon looks down on us commoners who don't play on PC. He also said Diwali abuses me to play campaigns with him for Achievos. He just yells at you. That's not
He
true.
does yell at you. That's true.
It's
That
100%
is not
true.
true.
He
And
does
Goose
yell.
said, I have still haven't played Mass Effect 1. He's still stuck in the mall, aka the Citadel. He cannot get out of the Citadel. He's not escaped yet. Right now, he's playing Zelda Link to the Past, my all-time number one favorite Zelda, Goose. Love that game. And shout out to Goose there, guys. Let's jump into some huge Xbox news for the week, Jose.
News team, assemble!
News item number one. It is done. Or is it? Microsoft versus the FTC. As everybody is talking about, as everybody knows, the injunction was not granted to the FTC, and that means the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King case can potentially close. I've got some comments from your boy Florian. Is it Mueller? I don't even know. How do you say his name, Bacon?
Mueller.
I've got some words from Phil Spencer. Let's start with Phil's word after we found out the verdict. We're grateful to the court for swiftly deciding in our favor. The evidence showed the Activision Blizzard deal is good for the industry, and the FTC's claims about console switching, multi-game subscription services, and cloud don't reflect the realities of the gaming market. Since we first announced this deal, our commitment to bringing more games to more people on more devices has only grown. We've signed multiple agreements to make Activision Blizzard's games, Xbox first-party games, and Game Pass all available to more players than they are today. We know that players around the world have been watching this case closely, and I'm proud of our efforts to expand player access and choice throughout this journey.
He's
Also,
absolutely right.
Microsoft and UK regulators agreed to pause their Activision battle to negotiate. Microsoft has won its fight against the FTC, and now it's trying to make its big Activision Blizzard acquisition work in the UK. This is coming from Tom Warren. So Microsoft and the CMA have both agreed to pause their legal battle, and hopefully they're going to come to an agreement. I also wanted to read words from Bobby K. Bobby, he got me, guys, with freaking Diablo and that $100 edition. He got me, guys. Bobby wrote after the decision was made. Today, a U.S. federal judge ruled in our favor, denying the FTC's attempt to block our merger with Microsoft. We're grateful to the court for the way this process was handled and the thoughtfulness of the decision. The U.S. joins the 38 countries. Is it 30 now, Bacon? I don't know. Wasn't there Turkey just agreed to it? That our deal can proceed. These decisions are based on facts and data that show our merger is good for players and for the competition in the industry. We are optimistic that today's ruling signals a path to full regulatory approval elsewhere around the globe, and we stand ready to work with the UK regulators to address any remaining concerns so our merger can quickly close. We'll continue to keep you updated on our progress. Thank you for all you do for our players, our company, and for each other. With gratitude, Bobby K. And then, just when we thought we were in the clear, today, Tom Warren's tweet, the FTC has just filed its appeal of the FTC versus Microsoft decision with the Ninth Circuit. Here's what the FTC alleges of Judge Corley's ruling. 1, applied the wrong legal standard, relying on government cases seeking permanent injunctions. 2, erred on the Xbox consumer benefits over potential foreclosure and multi-game subs. 3, relied too much on Microsoft's cloud gaming agreements. 4, missed potential partial foreclosure strategies. 5, ignored the FTC's evidence about Microsoft's incentive to foreclose. Gentlemen, I'm going to throw it over to Jose first, and then maybe we'll close with Bacon because I know he has a lot to say. Jose, I was listening to Defining Duke. Shout out to Duke. They had on Hogue Law, and he was talking in detail about it, which was very cool to hear him on the podcast. He was actually on before he had a stroke, so this was the first time being back since December. And basically, he said that Judge Corley did a fantastic job. He thought she was very fair, very thorough, and she's like, despite what you think about her assessment or the ruling, he's like, you can't deny how great of a job he thought she did, really trying to understand and make a decision on this major acquisition. And then he also said he kind of understood the FTC's appeal because it had just happened right before, or no, actually, when they recorded, he didn't know what the FTC. He knew that the FTC was appealing, but he didn't know what their case was. But he guessed it had something to do with cloud, and the FTC did mention cloud in their formal appeal. And then, but he also said that's great and all, but in reality, appeals are like this are for losers. Basically, you appeal if you've lost. So
I mean, that is the definition of what an appeal is.
Well, so I would go to you, Jose. I know we've got this appeal to get to figure out, but do you still think this is it over? Is it finally over?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Dude, the fact that, so here's my theory, and this is just a theory. I am not a lawyer. I really don't know anything about the legal process concerning this, is that they knew this last week. They knew it last week because there was that cooling off period. So I think Corley is basically said, here's what's going to happen, because on one hand, that gives the FTC time to start writing their appeal stuff if they knew they were going to do that. It also gives Xbox a time and Activision time to like start doing whatever they're going to do in terms of like promotion and marketing. And so, to be very fair, I'm excited it passed. I wanted it to pass from the beginning. I was confident it passed from the beginning. You know, the title of our episode tonight is that Xbox defeated them. That's a little bit of a misnomer. We know that it's not over. It's just more of, you know, that's what it kind of felt like was in this big battle. Like that's kind of the way it looks. But there's a couple pieces of this that I think are important. One is, one of the big arguments of the appeal right now is that they are claiming that Corley's son, who does work for Microsoft, makes her not ineligible. That's not the right word, but like basically biased. That she shouldn't have overseen this because she has ties to Xbox in an unfair way, and you need to be totally unbiased. But in my opinion, that point is a little bit moot because one, she brought that up at the beginning of the trial, right? And she said like, I'm letting everyone know this isn't going to affect my son, is like basically like a low level thing that does like really he has no impact about whether I say yes or no to this. And they could have said we want someone else. The FTC is the one who actually wanted her to see it because she's overseeing another gaming lawsuit and is more familiar with kind of the thing. So it is a little funny to me that they were like now trying to claim it. Her background is the reason she shouldn't be there.
Jose, I want to interrupt you right there. Hogue Law also mentioned that, and he said if the FTC thought it was a problem, they should have brought it up at the beginning because they didn't bring it up at the beginning.
Well, she brought it up.
Then it clearly isn't a problem. And he's also like, it means nothing. So we don't even have to worry about that. So go ahead.
And ultimately, I think what this is like it's a last grasp at straws, right? Like at this point, like what does it hurt to try to get an appeal? I think from everything I've heard, and again, I'm not a lawyer, it's actually pretty hard to win an appeal in a case like this. Like it's like there's not a lot of precedent for that to happen. So it's more of I think like, well, let's try it, and if it doesn't work, at least we can say we tried. The other part of it is I think what will be very interesting though is that because the deal was supposed to close on the 18th, right? Remember that's only 5 days from today as we record. Like that's where this gets a little weird. Like what if it takes longer than that for the appeal process to happen? Then do they still owe the $3 billion? Does it become part of like a thing? Do they renegotiate? I don't know how that works. So that will be very interesting. But the most important thing is that I am super excited to see what happens next with the merger, right? Like for lots of reasons. I'm excited for the Activision Blizzard employees to have hopefully better working conditions, though that's probably going to take some time. I'm excited to see those games hopefully coming to Game Pass or being sprinkled in, or at least, you know, with the Xbox moniker on them. And the other part is I think there are a lot of properties that Blizzard and Activision have that they just haven't used in a long time. And I would love to see some Xbox studios maybe have a crack at some of the stuff from like Raven and that kind of thing. So I'm just happy overall, man. And for the record, I want to be very clear, and especially I'm glad that's why we have Matt here as well as a big PlayStation guy. Like I'm not saying this is a gloating way. Please don't think that if you're listening. Like if PlayStation won this, I would be a little hurt too, right? Because I don't, you know, but at the same time, like, again, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that we're going to hopefully see a lot more access to games on more platforms. That's what I'm excited for, right? And
more competition. I honestly think this makes Xbox a better competitor for
Oh,
everybody. I think this is a win for people who enjoy video games, as far as I'm concerned, because we're all gonna have more options and more ways to play. And I think it's gonna be very interesting to see what Microsoft does with Xbox, Jose. But not only that, I don't know how much is really gonna change. Like realistically,
well, like tomorrow, nothing.
no.
Nothing's going to
And
change
so,
right
and I
away.
wanted, and you were mentioning something. Also, an update from Hogue. Again, shout out to Defining Duke. Listen to their most recent episode.
Yep.
Hogue goes into a lot of detail about this. You were saying like, when could this close? He was saying if they wanted to, they could try like on the weekend, but typically large money sums isn't transferred on that. So maybe it would be earliest next week at the earliest. It all depends on whether or not this appeal something gets. What do you got?
Bacon's
Bacon?
got something.
You got
Judge
breaking news.
Corley just denied the
Appeal.
stay, so it's going to go through.
Well, we'll see. Let's
It just
What is it?
broke.
Can you read what it
just broke.
says?
Yes, she denied.
Oh, right there, verbatim, it says.
Denied.
These nuts. Got him.
Jose, you've just been promoted. You're leading this podcast from now on. Anyway, that was perfect.
I can read it word for word.
Yeah, what does it say?
Save it, Bacon.
All
We'll save it
jokes-
till the end. We'll save it to the end. And he also was stressing how it's going to take time. Like we are not going to see any big changes with Activision for a long time, and it's not going to happen as immediate as maybe the Bethesda acquisition was. So before I throw it to Bacon, because he might be, I'm not even going to finish what I was going to say there. Matt, you play everything, but as
I play everything. I don't care.
Yeah, and I
I'm
am
not
too,
saying-
man. I've just
I'm
got
not
a
saying-
Switch, Matt. I'm playing it. I'm playing everything, man, and I'm
Listen,
loving it. So go
and
ahead, Matt.
and I'm not saying I don't care, because I know like there are jobs and people's like, well-being and stuff at play. And I know we've heard a lot of what's gone down over the years with Blizzard and the working conditions and Bobby Kotick, and just kind of like how evil of a man he has been. And so I know there's been a lot writing on this. I know with the CMA over the UK, I actually just read something, I want to say within the past hour of like getting on here, that Microsoft is even considering selling cloud gaming rights to the UK telecommunications or whatever they're called, to say like just butter everybody up so that this can go through. And this is where it's funny because you don't hear Nintendo talked about this. It's only like, it's just a PlayStation. Like you only hear PlayStation. You don't see Blizzard and Activision games. Nintendo doesn't care. Now Nintendo would benefit from this because
Call of Duty.
Microsoft wants to get like Call of Duty on Nintendo. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. It's not going on the Switch. So Nintendo's going to have to do something on their hardware side to make sure that they can support this whole, agreement that they have with Microsoft. But they've been saying it. You're going to see these games, and let's face it. Like, the elephant in the room is Call of Duty. It's a multi-billion-dollar money-making machine, and so every year it's like the most money made like ever. And so
even if it's a bad Call of Duty, it's still the best-selling game
exactly.
ever.
And like when gamers think about this, like they got to think, they really truly have to think about the competition. They really have to sit down and think, what can someone like Sony do? I hope Sony does not go out and buy a publisher. That is not what they need to do. I don't think Nintendo's going to do anything, because I don't think it concerns Nintendo like it concerns, maybe Sony, but it's going to do good things down the line. More players will be able to play these games in more places, and that's a win. That's a win for the entire ecosystem. It's just, I understand why, like, yes, you said it. I play more on my PlayStation, and more often on my PlayStation than I do on my Xbox. And I'm loving my Xbox. I just rolled credits in Hellblade, and I played that on my
Can't
Xbox.
wait to hear about that from you, by the way.
And so I'm loving that ecosystem. And it's hard because it's like, I own both. A lot of people don't own both. And it's not fair for me to say, oh, go out and buy both, because they can't. But it now gives you a choice of where you want to be. These games aren't leaving Sony.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
anytime soon. And if it affects anybody, then either A, you're going to be like, 55 years old, or B, you're like 10 years old right now, and you wouldn't even have known the difference, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned not all of us can buy both consoles, and you're right. If I was a young kid, there's no I mean, I was lucky to have one, but Game Pass, I would have died to have something like Game Pass as a kid. But I was also a different kind of gamer then. I'm comparing to gamers now where I think like everyone expects it to be free to play. That's a whole nother discussion. But
Right.
accessibility, you mentioned that more people, maybe you can't afford a console, but you might be able to afford 10 or 15 bucks to try a game out on Game Pass and stream it to your computer or your laptop or your tablet or something. So it's exciting all around. I honestly don't think much is going to change. I think Microsoft is going to make a lot more money with Activision games. I think they'll pick and choose which games are going to be exclusive. And even when I say exclusive, they might just be a timed exclusivity. But either way, I think this is just a benefit to all of us because I do think it's going to increase Xbox's competition. And everyone likes to say, well, Xbox has had 20 years to compete. Well, they're trying, and clearly they needed to do something major and switch it up, and that's what they're doing now. And I also want to point out how many other consoles have we seen come and go since Sony and Nintendo started to compete? We've seen multiple Sega ones come and go. We've seen the Ouya come and go. Xbox is still here. Xbox is still fighting, and Xbox has still done a lot of, I would argue, way more good for gaming than not. And I always would think about, would you really want to see Xbox cease to exist? And the answer to me is like, I think that would be terrible if we just had Sony and Nintendo. And Sony's dominating. Matt, you said I hope they don't buy a publisher or a studio. I don't think they need. I don't think they need to, dude. They are
They don't need to.
dominating Xbox. We've seen this with the numbers, man. Sony is dominating everyone except for maybe Nintendo. But I would even argue that don't they
You
have
don't
the
think Shuhei's going to go try to buy something? I think he is. Him and Jim.
no?
I have a strong feeling that's going to happen. My money.
I have a
is on
I have
it.
a couple
Even if
of
they do,
ideas.
even if they do, I still think it'll be multi-platform like a Bungie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
but if they brought FarmSoft, I'd be like, dang it, I have to keep it.
no,
on
okay,
PS5.
so Sony did put money into FromSoft, right? A couple, like I want to say like
200
within the
million.
past couple of years.
Yeah, and they like increased it.
And so that's fine. You want to put in a few more dollars, to benefit. I don't see them buying FromSoft.
Well, does
I
FromSoft
don't
need
even
to sell after Elden Ring? Heck no. They can do
no,
whatever the hell they want.
heck no, you're right. And and they would be foolish not to, because they can see their games pretty much everywhere, maybe except for Nintendo. But besides the point, Nintendo needs new hardware. But Sony does not need to go out and like kind of like it's like when a guy and girl break up, and like you gotta like date somebody else when like you see your girl dating somebody else. So like you're just gonna kind of like jump into like an empty relationship just because you're like, don't do that. It's okay. Sit back, relax. You're doing fine. You need a few months to yourself to hang out with the boy, things like that. You don't do anything dumb. And on Microsoft's end, I can't see them wanting to pull a game like Call of Duty from the shelves and the controllers. Like they want everyone to play. And when you fire up a Sony PlayStation and the Xbox logo
Yep,
flashes
that's gonna
across,
exactly.
I played MLB The Show on an
You see the
Xbox, and the PS Studios is there.
Yep.
Xbox would be dumb
Yeah.
to lose that player base, because
Matt,
they know that they're not trying to sell a console. People aren't going to jump ship and all of
Yeah,
a sudden buy an
subscription.
Xbox.
But Matt, what do you think is going to happen? So, or I guess a better way to phrase this: do you think that Sony is going to sign a Call of Duty deal now that this apparently is going through? Because it was offered, right? And then Jim's basically said no. But do you think that, like, what's the smart business move? Is it to guarantee the 10-year contract? Is it to kind of show force and say no? Because one of the arguments I heard, and then I'll shut up, is that, like, let's say theoretically in a very crazy world, Xbox does pull it from PlayStation. Like, I don't think they will. I really don't. But let's just say they did. Everyone would blame Xbox for that, even though technically Sony is the one refusing to sign that contract. Thoughts? Just curious.
Yeah. So with the whole Jim Ryan thing, he looks like a bad guy from any standpoint, but somebody with a suit over in Sony said This is your job to do everything in your power to make sure it doesn't work. Right. And this went, I mean, how much money did Microsoft have tied up in court and Jim Ryan and Sony knew this was happening. And I feel like you saw some of those emails and stuff like that. He did exactly what any suit had to do. He tried to put a wrench into the plan. That's it. They're good. If they don't sign something, it would almost be, I don't know, like, I don't even know how to describe, like almost like a pity, like get over yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I think now it's just, yep, all right, we did what we had to do, and then you'll see it, I don't know, in the background. I don't think they're going to make a big deal out of it.
I think so too. I agree. I think it's going to stay. Like, truly, I do. I was just curious.
To answer your question, Chapeau, it came up in the trial that Sony is going to refuse to send the PS6 dev kit to Microsoft. So if it does get pulled or doesn't get sent, it's going to be on Sony because they don't want their secret sauce being out there. They've clearly stated that they have no intentions of sending a dev kit to Microsoft.
But how does that work then? Does that mean that so theoretically, right?
It's their fault.
Developed for Xbox,
They probably
develops
have
maybe for
to-
Nintendo, but then they do that once the hardware is released. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, I think they still want to make the money they could on PlayStation. I would, right?
Yeah, they
You're
would just
talking
develop
millions of users.
assuming certain specs.
They made
and
a huge issue.
under
Yeah. And it
estimate
just won't be
what it'll
optimized. They made a huge issue about
So
that
with-
at the trial.
So anyway, Baking, I'm not seeing anything about this injunction.
Oh, are you
thing.
serious?
I'm not seeing.
Okay.
Oh, here it
Ninth-
is.
Ninth
Judge Corey
District
has
Court.
denied the FTC's
The
request.
FTC,
But now
asked
it's
this
down
court-
to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So it's just
No, it's not. This to lay the groundwork. This
I just read it.
motion was asked to halt the acquisition till the appeals court can hear it. If it came through, then Microsoft could not close it till the appeals court hears it in August. Judge Corley has said no, it is not going to be stayed. It can go through. It is so ordered. Says it right there in the bottom. That's the whole point of this whole dog and pony show in the last day has been trying to stop Microsoft from closing Saturday night at 1 a.m. It's if you guys didn't see that the stock exchange has already said Monday they're pulling Activision off the NASDAQ 100. When you do that, it's pretty much a done deal. That's what I'm going to get my payout for my stock I own. So I'm going to approach this.
disclaimer. Bacon is a
Stock owner.
Activision
And
Blizzard
baller.
King.
I'm
stock
up like
owner.
$85
Repeat,
right now.
disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Bacon
I am
is an
sponsored.
Activision Blizzard King owner.
So today, me being the masochist I am, I sat around and listened to the FTC or Lena Khan getting rallied by the House Judiciary Committee. I put in all 5 hours of that stream today. Listen to it word for word. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I am a Democrat. I voted Democrat my entire adult voting life. My wife is a lifelong Democrat. I'm not going to get too into this because my wife is a big fan of one of these senators who's really making this an issue. The whole time sitting here listening to them grill her, and they hit her. They brought up Activision. They brought up Microsoft. All these Democratic senators never mentioned Microsoft one time, never mentioned Activision one time. They kept bringing up important issues like healthcare, prescription drugs. They attacked Twitter. The Republicans attacked Twitter for a lot about how she's handling Twitter and stuff. They
Big
talked
fan
about
of threads. They're big fans of threads. That's why.
right. And so these Democrats were constantly hammering her on issues, grocery store mergers, other important things. They never once mentioned Activision Blizzard. So that just leads me to believe that it's just such an ideological thing with Lena Khan. And then she turns around and blames it on her staff. This appeal is because of her staff. She looked pretty bad for the most part today. So it's going to go through. It's going to go through tonight. We've seen the news that they're going to, not tonight, Friday night. It expires Friday night at midnight, Dan. Friday night at midnight. But now that it's that stay has been completely blocked, they could give it till the 18th, till Wednesday, or is it Tuesday? Tuesday. But I estimate it'll be done at least by Monday morning. So
Hey, listen, if American Online and Time Warner can merge, why can't this work, right?
Right. Why can't Disney, who bought every thing. Why
No, yeah,
can't
exactly. Disney buying Fox. I was like, whoa. that's
MGM Grand getting
crazy.
purchased by freaking Amazon? I mean, there's huge mergers out there, and
I
this
feel
was
like that Time Warner merger was like hundreds of billions
yes,
of
it
dollars.
was huge.
Right?
So basically what they asked the judge to do today is look back at her decision and then say that she was incorrect. And then what they're asking the Court of Appeals to do is have 3 judges look at one of their own district judges and say she is incorrect. The chances of winning one of these is pretty pretty minuscule. And it was a Hail Mary. Lot of stuff going online today about they did that appeal today so she wouldn't have to answer the questions in that House Judiciary meeting today. I don't know if I buy that, but of course everyone's got their tinfoil hats on. It's a good thing for everybody involved. They're not going to make what is it, like 8 billion made on PlayStation? The numbers are ridiculous. Microsoft wouldn't offer it to every other cloud streaming platform. They wouldn't try to put it on the Switch if they're not trying to make me a Microsoft stockholder also. They're not trying to make me money. That is the whole point. I'm taking all
Disclaimer,
my
Bacon is also Microsoft stockholder.
I'm
Disclaimer.
taking all my money I get paid out from Activision and buying more Microsoft stock with that.
After
It's
he
just
goes to
gonna
Popeyes, then he's going
it's gonna
straight to
keep-
Microsoft.
It's going to keep working. So it's a good day. It's I listened to a lot of 80% of the trial as well. I don't know why I did, but I did. There was not one argument the FTC made that even poked a hole in anything that Microsoft's rebuttals. They focus solely and narrowly on Call of Duty, and I think that's where the FTC made their mistake. They didn't focus on StarCraft. They didn't focus on Diablo. They didn't focus on Tony Hawk. They
Cloud
didn't
gaming.
focus on World of
Even though I think
Warcraft.
cloud gaming is
Right. It was so narrowly focused, and it was such that they were so going after the console theory of harm, the substantial lessening of competition in the console space, due solely to one IP, one game. Annualized release, sells a lot, people play it, then they put it down. Nobody, haven't turned on Warzone in 3 months.
Yeah, I haven't played in a while either.
Right. And so that is where they lost. They focused way too much on the console theory of harm. And that's, and that's on them. That's for them not being prepared. They had 18 months in which to prepare themselves. They wait for the last 2 weeks to file injunctions and try to delay this thing and drag their feet. It's just, you can see right through it all. And so justice has won as of right now.
We will see, gentlemen. Hopefully, I've been saying this for the past, a year. This will be the last time we talk about this acquisition. Hopefully by next week. I mean, it's got to be, right, Jose? So we said, 5 days from now, we will
18th,
hopefully
yeah.
have a definitive answer. But for now, it seems that Microsoft will acquire Activision Blizzard King. And I'm excited as a gamer who owns an Xbox, a PlayStation, now a Switch, and a gaming PC. I'm excited for all the wonderful games we are going to play. Guys, let's move on to news story number 2. We have the ID at Xbox Cross IGN Showcase. And I didn't watch this live, but I was fortunate enough to go back and watch a lot of these trailers. Guys, there are some banger slangers of video games shown here. And I before I throw it to you, the ones that stood out to me, Monolith, Requiem of the Ancients. This one looks like a Zelda-esque game. This is a must play for me. This is coming out in 2024. It is not on Game Pass, but it's coming to all platforms. And the other one that stood out to me was Sea of Stars. I, of course, drafted this. Coming out August 29th,
Yeah, I'm
coming to
pumped, dude.
all systems. Cannot wait for this classic RPG, turn-based RPG game from the makers of The Messenger, which, by the way, if you've not played The Messenger, go play The Messenger. Then the other one, Worldless. This is a 2D action platformer but also has, I believe it has turn-based combat as well. At first I was like, ooh, turn-based. I don't want to do too many turn-based games, but if you watch the trailer for this, guys, it looks incredible. The platforming. I'm a sucker for platform games. So this one also stood out to me. This is coming out in fall 2023, Series X and S, Xbox, and Windows PC only, surprisingly. So this is not coming to other platforms. Then the other one was, of course, the Vampire Survivors, the co-op is coming to Xbox. So Bacon, we talked about that with the Nintendo Switch conference. So it is definitely coming. That is coming on the 17th of August. Axiom Verge 2, I believe, is out now on Xbox. This was previously unreleased on Xbox. It is out now. I need to play the first one. This is a Metroidvania. I remember I didn't play the first because the second wasn't out on Xbox. Now I will play this as well. And then Jose, this game has your name written all over it. Stray Souls. Did you check out this trailer, Jose? Go watch it right now as I'm speaking.
I did watch it. It was bizarre, like creepy, dude. But
Exactly.
I'm excited to play it, but it was creepy for sure.
So this is a third-person action horror game by Akira Yamaoka, who worked on Silent Hills, Shadows of the Dam, and The Medium. So we've got another Silent Hill-esque game coming out, and this is coming out in fall. Series X, Windows, PS5, and PS4. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, that one's not Game Pass. So sorry. Stray Souls is not Game Pass. Axiom Verge is not Game Pass. What was the other one I mentioned? So all the ones I want to play are, except for Sea of Stars, they are not on Game Pass. And then the other one, Jose, you mentioned this to me, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I need to watch this. This is coming to Game Pass, and this is an August 18th, 2023 release, coming to all Xbox Series X and S, Windows, and PS4 and PS5. Guys, those are the games that stood out to me. Matt, did you have a chance to look at any of these games, and was there anything?
Yeah,
that
I
stood out to you?
actually I watched it live on the IGN Twitch channel, and it's funny because you mentioned a game, another game that is underrated, and that was Shadows of the Damned.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, you just mentioned it now.
Oh no,
Such
yeah, I
a
don't know what
good-
that game is. I have no idea what that is.
No, you don't know what that game is.
What is? I'm gonna have to look.
Go
it up.
look that game up. It's a it's such a spoof. Like, I think like your girlfriend is abducted by like Satan and you have to go to hell to like get her out. And it's like phallic and just, it's a gross game, but it's a lot of fun. It's dumb fun. I think it was kind of around the time of what did Visceral do when they weren't doing Dead Space? They did that Inferno. Another good game that's underrated. Dante's Inferno. I think it was around that time if you played that game.
Yep.
But Shadows of the Damned, just when we're offline, check that game out. That's a funny game. But I was watching it and with IGN, and a game came on and everyone in the chat said it at the same time. I was like, yo, is that She-Ra? Is this He-Man? It was Myth Force. Did you guys see the trailer for Myth Force?
Yeah, it looks like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh yeah.
It's like a first
person.
person. Yeah, it's like a cartoony looking first person. Now it threw me off because I think it's a roguelike and I suck at roguelikes. But the game looked like a lot of fun and I loved the art style and it gave you like this like He-Man and She-Ra type of like vibe. And then Hellboy. I love the Shade Cell look. It's not, I don't think it's coming to Game Pass. And it's just, I think it's coming soon. I don't even know if it has a
Yeah,
release date.
that did look cool, but you're right. It's not Game Pass, and you're right.
No.
It is just coming soon.
But Everspace,
Everspace.
Matt,
I don't know
Game Pass.
anything
That's
about Hellboy. I've never seen anything. I've never seen any of them.
The Hellboy
read
movies
anything.
the Hellboy movies were like mediocre. I used to read Hellboy when I was younger. I don't even remember what writer, those things are always like, re-inked and rewritten. But I read a little Hellboy around I think the time of like one of the first movies that came out, and cool character, dark, and the game just looks, but again, I think it's another roguelike. And I'm like, man, I'm just not good at roguelike games. I still can't beat Returnal, so
Bacon, what stood out to you? And did you ever you beat Returnal? Did you beat it, Bacon?
Oh hell no, I couldn't beat Returnal. I decided I'm not a good gamer.
Okay.
Game
what stood out to you? Did you get
Hellboy based solely on the art style? Again, the movies weren't great, so I agree in that. Everspace definitely looks like a must play, maybe because it is in Game Pass. Sea of Stars absolutely looks awesome. But the one that's getting me, of course, I'm not sure how this is going to work, is the 4-player co-op and Vampire Survivor. That is going to be a mess. If you haven't played it yet, it's already a mess
play with
with
you,
just
Bacon.
one player. add 4 players, 4 loot chests, 4 everything to get. That's going to be absolutely wild, but I'm looking forward to it. And I still have 5 achievos left to get in that. The good thing about these ID Xbox games is they're not going to be $70 games for the most part. So, and I like that Xbox does this and gives a lot of smaller studios and people who are trying to break in the industry a chance to get their just desserts and get the marketing. And Xbox goes out of their way to help these smaller studios get their games out in front of a lot of people. So, and I'm kind of glad not all these are. Most of these aren't in Game Pass because
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, I don't. Given and I hear that dinosaur game that's dropping this week isn't good either. So we've had a few stinkers in Game Pass lately.
Exoprimal.
Exoprimal I hear is just awful, and I played the beta of that, and I tend to agree with that assessment. So again, it's just I like that ID Xbox has this program and has this outreach for these studios to help them get where they want to go. And Microsoft will actually send out teams to help these guys get their games ready and get them launched. So it's a fantastic program, and they should definitely keep it going. And hopefully there's a few bangers in here.
Oh, Dan's frozen.
Jose, what
I mean, a lot of the same ones you guys said. Though, what I will say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that I think it looks awesome, dude. And granted, like Friday the 13th, I agree with you, Dan, is like that's something special to us, and I'll definitely play again in October. But I've heard really great things about this, dude, and the trailers look dope. Like it could be another fun thing, especially because it's free this time. We don't have to pay to get it, so all of us on Game Pass can pick it up day one. It'd be a fun Halloween thing to play for sure. I have also never played Axiom Verge. I remember the first one, and it does seem cool. I mean, it does seem a little bit like those, like where like Hollow Knight is cool. I like Hollow Knight, but it's so incredibly hard as a platformer that I eventually got like worn out by it. I hope Axiom Verge is not the same, but that's okay if it is. I definitely want to play the others. I definitely want to play Sea of Stars. I want to try Myth Force, and I definitely want to try Monolith. I was listening to one of the developers talk about it, watching things. Sick. It looks super dope. I'm excited. And then the other one that I know it sounds crazy, but I kind of want to try. It's just I don't want to pay for it. Is the Scarlet Deer Inn?
I saw
because
that.
I saw the production where they actually stitched all of the animation for all the characters, which I think is cool. But I honestly liked it more because I thought it's something I could play with Penelope, because she's still not good at like fast games yet, and this is more of like a story and a little bit of like mild puzzles and stuff. And so I think she might be a good one for her. So other than that, man, I'll play Vampire Survivors with Bacon. I'm sure it's going to be chaotic. If you watch on IGN right now, there is a video of like Stella Chung and I forgot who, but 4 guys playing Vampire Survivors 4 co-op, and it is
I watched that. That was live, I think, after the idea
after the event. But I mean, I think it'd be fun to play, like especially for the cost of nothing because of Game Pass. It'd be fun to play that for a night or two for sure.
Guys, before we jump into the next news story, I did want to shout out a comment here by Goose. Goose with a hot caca take right here. He said, Starfield is going to flop because it's just the test platform for the new Elder Scrolls / Fallout. It's just going to be a big test run. Goose,
idiot.
Somebody boot Goose. Somebody actually mod. Can you please
tried to ban him?
Timeout, because that is absolutely insane. You're insane.
Just
Goose.
typing the word banned.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Shout out to Zapatista Makey also for being in the chat. Guys, the next story, speaking of Bethesda, perfect segue. And I saved this last week. We were going to talk about it, but I wanted to hear Matt's opinion on this because he's a big old Fallout fan. Fallout Original, the original Fallout creator, Tim Kaine, raises his concerns about what Fallout 5's character creation could be like. And this is coming from Derek Strickland over at Tweaktown. I appreciate all of his tweets. Make sure you go follow him. Modern Fallout and Elder Scrolls games have strayed away from the integral RPG-based DNA that once defined the franchises. We've seen Bethesda remove key features like traits and skills from modern Fallout games, and Skyrim, released in 2012, got rid of attributes altogether. This has raised some questions on what RPG elements might be pared back in Fallout 5. Tim Kaine, who helped create the original Fallout game in the 90s at Interplay, had some interesting thoughts about what could happen in Fallout 5. I'm concerned about Fallout 5 directly, yes. I watch all the Fallouts and I see what they do. Fallout 3 got rid of traits, and I really like traits. I think they're wonderful things you can balance in character creation. Then Fallout 4 got rid of skills. They're just gone, which really made Fallout 4 just special and perks. Kane's done it a recent YouTube video. I'm really concerned that maybe Fallout 5 is just going to be perks, maybe no special. I don't know what's going on there, but there certainly is a trend to eliminate choice at character creation. And I'll also say that I really prefer games now that offer some kind of negative characteristics. I like flaws, I like weaknesses, I like low attributes, which should obviously which should be obviously from all the games I like to play. Whatever you call them, whatever type you want to put them in, I like it because it makes characters much more fun and much more challenging to play and much more memorable. Matt is a big Fallout fan. Do you think this original Fallout guy has any right to be talking like this, talking this smack about the Fallout games? Are you concerned about the direction Bethesda games are heading with character creation? Because if I remember correctly, don't they have some traits or something like that coming in Starfield? Like, didn't they
Well,
point
yeah.
that out? So I want to hear your take as a diehard Fallout guy. Do you really think like we should be concerned about where Fallout 5 character creation is going?
So I was just going to say Starfield, I think, is going to prove a lot. And I'm not saying that it's just going to be reskinned into a Fallout 5, but this is an opportunity. Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 PC only games that were not made by Bethesda. I believe ZeniMax purchased the company that created it and officially bought the IP, and thus turning Fallout into a totally different game. It became a third person shooter RPG over anything else. And so in Fallout 3, after playing Fallout 2, there are huge differences. I think a lot of the character creation, especially now, goes into making that character look and be like you. Like so that you can become so it can become immersive in a sense that you are that main character. Fallout 4, yeah, it was pretty much just the special, right? And
I
maybe a
love
couple
the
of
special.
traits.
Love
I
it.
I liked the special too, but you really couldn't be that bad guy. I mean, I think they had like the karma system in Fallout 3 still, where like if you did something wrong, you lost karma, and if you did, I mean, you could walk around Fallout after you beat that game and just take out everybody. Like you could take out the wasteland, and there's really no penalty in it in Fallout 4, the same way it was in some of those other games. So maybe that's what he's talking about in creating like such a unique personality with those characteristics. But other than that, I think they really are, and like they put it on, they put it right up like right up front with the character creator for
That was a big
Starfield.
part. Yeah.
There it is. It looks deep, very, very deep. Like you can be like a family man that goes and visits his parents, and that all of a sudden is a perk for doing other things. So no, I don't necessarily agree. Maybe games did get away from it a little bit, but a lot of people like that turns people off from games, and when you're trying to get a bigger audience, Fallout 1 and 2 are niche games. Raise your hand if you played Fallout 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Like, but raise your hand if you
None of
played
us.
Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. So, you know, I think
Most of us.
I think what Bethesda did there was that they tried to bring it to a wider audience because they saw an IP that was like, wow, this is really cool, this is
Yeah.
really unique, and we can expand on it. So, I think we'll see what happens with Starfield, but I think a lot's going back into making that character like down to the heart and soul exactly who you want them to be. And I think we'll
And
see that, in a few months.
and Goose, I want to ask you, how important are like some of these traits and stuff I was asking about, Goose? Do you think it's that important, or as I throw it over to Jose, do you think it's that important to have like deep character creation, like faults and stuff like that, Jose, or does it really just come down to gameplay?
Here's,
And
here's
that's
what
where
I'd
my
say.
concern is.
I have no issue if a game wants to build that piece in. And I was trying to remember, there was a game that I played relatively recently that did it in a decent way, and I just can't remember what it was. Here's the issue, and this is a good question for Goose or anyone else that's in the chat that knows. Fallout 1 and 2, I would assume, are much smaller games in terms of like the area, the wasteland, that kind of thing. It's a lot easier when you have a smaller area to build in a system where like your traits and your stuff actually affect gameplay. Most of the time when you spend that stuff in your setup thing, it literally never comes into play. Like it literally, like you might get like one additional dialogue option down the road. And not that that's not cool, again, not that I'm mad about that, but I think in my opinion, that may be why they moved away from it in 3 and 4 and even New Vegas, because you essentially run into this, like, as you make the world bigger, it's a lot more to develop. It's a lot more of a story to create. And if you're going to do this thing where like, well, we have 16 different classes and each is going to have their own unique arc through the people, that's an incredible amount of time for something that probably doesn't significantly affect gameplay. Now, granted, I'm not going to talk ill about this guy because I didn't play the first 2 games, and again, it's his baby. Like, shout out to him for, you know, he created an awesome series. But personally, I'm not worried about this at all. I loved New Vegas. I loved 4. I'm super pumped for 5, you know, and if Goose is right, which I don't think he is about Starfield, but if he is right, then Fallout 5 is going to be a banger because they're going to learn all that they needed to through Starfield. So we'll see. With them, I'm not worried.
Goose said, Jose, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Thanks, buddy.
Bacon, I don't think you have much to say on this because you haven't really played.
I don't have any concerns watching the Starfield presentation and everything that's going to be in Starfield. I have zero concerns about this. Like,
but that's Starfield,
right?
Like, we don't know if it's going to be Fallout though, Bacon.
But why would they go backwards then?
Yeah, why would they take such a right hand?
Because they're different games.
No, for sure. But I think what they'll do is they'll learn a lot from what they did in Starfield and see what works and maybe what doesn't work. And there might be a lot of things on the back burner, like lore wise, that might not make sense in a futuristic space game versus a futuristic apocalyptic.
Yeah, there's a lot more known about Fallout than there is about
my concern actually isn't at all with the character creation and all the attributes and all that. My concern is, when are we going to get Fallout 5? Let's be real, guys.
Oh my god, yeah, like for real.
You're right. Retirement gift, bud.
Dude, that's going to be that's going to be in the next console. That we are not getting a Fallout. Sorry, Goose, you're going to be waiting a while for Fallout 5. You're going to be lucky if you get a remastered version.
Remastered New Vegas, bud. I'll take that.
That was my big guess for that show. I just want to before we move on to the next topic, because I love Fallout so much. I just there's so many different ways that you can play this game, and I understand exactly where he's coming. Like, this is his creation, right? And I think Jose said it. Like, this is his baby, but he's not there anymore. But he's not there anymore. And the IP,
critical of it,
and the IP was purchased. But I think, you know, the times have changed, and I think you like nailed it with like the world, like being the character. And now the world is so much more than just the character that you created. Now you're living in this entire universe with other characters and stuff like that. But I remember in Fallout 3, and I think this trait is in all the game, and I don't know if it's even called a trait because he's saying that they got rid of traits, so I might even be using the wrong word. But one of the characteristics was called Lady Killer. Right. And if you want to be,
was it where you could kill if you kill, or you could persuade them or something?
Right. So like you're a smooth, suave, like smooth talker with the ladies. And if you think you're some kind of Rico Suave, you might choose that characteristic. And then when you talk to the right people and you need those people to do something for you because you have that lady killer characteristic, all of a sudden, you know, you open up new conversation. And like, who would have thought of that? Is that getting rid of traits? I must be using the wrong terminology or something, because I don't know if that's a trait, but being a lady killer sounds like a good trait to have.
I don't know. I don't think I picked that trait, Matt, but I remember it standing out.
I did actually pick that trait, and it did work out for me very well in a couple of situations.
I don't know, but either way, I trust Bethesda. But you're right. I can see it has to evolve. Otherwise, people aren't going to play it. Like, realistically,
exactly.
Like you mentioned, Fallout 1 and 2, very hardcore games, not at all the same. They're going to have to make some sacrifices. I think Starfield is going to be very telling, like you said. I cannot wait to try that. Goose, you're way off. Think Starfield, dude, you're an idiot. I can't believe you said that. So moving on, guys, let's go through these next stories quickly. We don't even have to talk about them. I just want to mention them. This is a big deal. This is a warning for Goose and Miggy specifically. Xbox launches new voice reporting feature, empowering players with the option to capture and report inappropriate in-game voice chat. Xbox's latest safety features allows players to capture and report inappropriate voice activity on any multiplayer game with in-game voice chat on Series X and Xbox One. Players who experience or witness inappropriate verbal behavior can capture now, report later, minimizing impact to their game player. This player reporting and evidence capabilities now cover all content, including text, image, video, and voice, further supporting player safety. This new feature will be available to Xbox insiders like Bacon to gather feedback from the community. This is coming from Dave McCarthy on the Xbox Wire. So watch out, you guys. If you are in a public chat and you be spouting that hate speech like Goose, you're going to get, he even said it right there. Hashtag Goose is getting banned fast. So watch out, you guys. This is in alpha. Be prepared. A very cool feature. I appreciate it, but hopefully they're not listening. Well, I know they are listening to my party chat, so never mind. I'm screwed there too. And then the last one, very quickly, there are rumors that the Japan set Assassin's Creed, codenamed Red, looks like it will launch in 2024. A LinkedIn post by a Ubisoft marketing employee described the game, which does not have an official release, released it as the biggest blockbuster for 2024. And that's coming from a reliable Assassin's Creed fan resource, Access the Animus, which spotted the post. And tellingly, the post has been edited and it doesn't say for 2024 anymore. So quickly, does anyone have any response to the voice chat response or AC Japan next year? Anybody have anything to say? Or
As an educator, I'm a big fan, right? The language that my students learn as a result of video games, and I don't mean the game, I mean the community. I'm actually glad a little bit. And some of the stuff that I've had to deal with in terms of is crazy. I've actually had to deal with it as an administrator because of like video game stuff that just, we need to tone it down. Like it's okay to poke fun when we're poking fun at Goose and
do a little bit of trash talk.
Trash talk is fine, but like the stuff where you're like, there's a line and many people cross it. I'm also, again, as a dad who wants to get my kids into gaming, that is the biggest thing I'm afraid of, is that like they're going to hop on the first time and just hear this horrific thing and then ruin the experience, right? I don't want that to be the case for them. So I'm happy on that regard. I definitely don't want Goose to get banned. Watch out, buddy. All right.
Yeah, I do think this is an overall positive. Goose also said not allowed to message kids to sell their Xbox when they suck anymore. So sorry, Goose.
No, for me, I haven't experienced any toxic lobbies since I only am playing online with friends in party chat. But going back to the pinnacle, the heydays of the Modern Warfare lobbies,
dude, so bad.
I was at a point where I would take my headset off between lobbies and wait for the game to launch. The slurs,
it's still there.
It's just so toxic.
People blasting music at ridiculous volume.
Oh god, that's the
stuff
worst.
I've heard.
Or if you hear poor kids crying,
right?
Shut up! You know, just
some of the stuff I've heard spoken to women in those lobbies is just not a place I would ever want to visit again. So good on Xbox for putting this feature in.
Guys, let's jump into what have we been playing and or watching for the week. As always, let's start with our special guest. He mentioned it earlier. He rolled credits on Hellblade Senua's Saga. Tell me about your experience with the old Hellblade there, Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot, but you know, on the Xbox side of things, I just finished Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. That's the first.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. First and foremost, I play with headphones all the time, but yes, the sound design was incredible. The voice acting was so intense and so amazing. It's like some of the absolute best I've ever experienced in entertainment, period. That acting and that sound was just
voices, man, creepy, just intense.
Yeah,
heart rate.
Like the ladies talking in your ear all the time, and just like during my streams and stuff, like I started talking with them, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta stop. Like I'm like, this isn't real. You know, it was super immersive. You know,
what'd you think of the combat map? I thought it was fine.
The combat sucked. The combat was trash.
Trash.
I'll get into that in a second. The lack of the HUD like made the game immersive, but because I'm only playing that, because I'm only streaming once a week, I'm constantly having to go back in to the pause menu. Okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What are the buttons? And they're simple. Everything was beautiful, unexplorable because it's linear, but gorgeous nonetheless. The rune puzzles were awesome at first, and then started getting like old. I'm like, another rune puzzle. But yeah, other than that, the story was great. It was weird. I don't know what happened to her at the end. I don't know what's gonna happen in a sequel. The combat, I got the combat was not good. I got so mixed up. It was clunky. The camera would like spin like over my body. I didn't know where I was.
I didn't have these combat troubles like you did. I thought it was
There
passable.
was a few aggravating moments, and I do have to say I have one controversial thing to say.
Okay.
You might not.
Oh no, here we go.
Like what I have to say. Do you think this is I'm going to pose this as a question? Do you think Xbox is taking a gamble with this purchase? Do you think Ninja Theory was worth the buy?
How much?
Probably for the price.
Yeah, it was only 200 million or something like that, right?
I see your concerns because it was beautiful, but you're right. Is there a lot there besides the story and the acting?
Gorgeous.
I agree with you, and I also have concerns in general with Hellblade 2 because it's been a long time. Where is this game? And the fact that we still technically don't have a solid date. Like, I am concerned, but do I think it was worth the purchase? Yes, I do think there is talent there that we have to see what they do with Hellblade 2. If Hellblade 2
I've played other, they've had a couple of other games that I played like forever ago. But just like, I think I like was so infatuated with Senua's Saga just because it looked so amazing. And yet here I was, I've never played Senua's Sacrifice and I couldn't wait to play it. And after I played it, I'm glad I did. I thought the story was amazing. I just like, it's almost like a walking sim. And
yes,
I love walking sims, but I've played better walking sims than this.
Yeah. And I would just counter Matt that it was on a very limited budget and a small.
It was like 19 people.
It
right?
It was so, and you got to remember that came out on PlayStation first, and it was a timed exclusive. So I think with more money and resources, hopefully, yes, they can grow. But do I have concerns about it? Yes, I do.
I'm excited.
I enjoyed it. Like Chance Bubble Boy, this was like one of his favorite games ever, and I was like,
oh wow,
I don't know about that, but. I can see your concerns, and I think it's valid, Matt. So
on your scale, right? You've got a 5-point scale.
Yes.
What is your 3?
Solid. It's a solid game.
I mean, I think this game it's a solid game. It's a
3 out of 5.
It could be for you, but it might not.
So sorry. 5 out of 5 must play. 4 out of 5 highly recommended. 3 out of 5 good, solid. I just put a good game.
It's a good game.
2 out of 5 is not for me, but might be for you. 1 out of 5 not recommended. 0 out of 5 bad game, caca.
Yes, this is a solid 3 out of 5. This is a good game. There's so much good there.
Yes,
and the combat needs a lot of work.
Okay, I agree, and that's what's concerning me, Matt, is we haven't seen that yet from any of the trailers. So
you're right.
What else have you been playing? Anything else?
I mean, I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. I'm playing Final Fantasy 16.
But screw Final Fantasy. I don't really hear about that. But Tears of the Kingdom. Are you getting bored of Tears of the Kingdom? What's your feeling going on there? Are you still as high as you were on that initially, or have you been like, this needs to be done?
I think I might have explained this to you guys, but Breath of the Wild was one of the most mind-blowing games.
Overrated games. Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
It changed the way you approached the game.
So you're not playing a Zelda game anymore. You're playing a physics simulator, right?
And Tears of the Kingdom still does that same thing with new mechanics. So am I getting things are dragging out a little bit. I'm not playing it the same way I played Breath of the Wild, in terms of like exploring everything. But you know what I find myself doing? I find myself playing it mechanically the same way I played Breath of the Wild. I'm not building things the same way that everyone else is. I'm like, I'm still like climbing. I've got all the climbing gear. I love climbing.
Oh, the stamina and climbing. No.
Now, granted, I think I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago that climbing is like one of the worst things in a video.
Yes,
game.
you did. You said it was terrible in Assassin's Creed and in Uncharted. But you like it in Zelda?
But what I love about this is that I got the climbing gear. I got my climbing
like
elixirs. I got
You
my
like
climbing
that?
elixirs. I don't want to do spoilers, but there are now suits and stuff that you can get to help with climbing in different terrains. And so it works. And then when you ascend through things, like it just makes stuff easier. But I'm not building these like massive I didn't build the Death Star. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do any of these things that like I see online, and I'm like, I just want to like play the temples and get through the game. I want to play the game. So, but I'm still enjoying it. Like the story is there. I hear the story
is much better.
I think this story is better. The pacing is better. It makes more sense than Breath of the Wild.
I got to chime in here. Goose says overrated, Matt. # not my Zelda. So I'm just gonna
and listen, I played all the original. I played the original Zeldas too.
Did you play Skyward Sword?
I did, and you know what,
dude? I just picked that up on Switch. I'm super
on Switch.
Pumped. I am super pumped.
So
I don't care. I've already gotten used to the controls.
You did? Okay, because
you just held L to look around. I got it.
Yeah, I know, but it's like you got to flick the stick and stuff like that. My son is like trying to like.
It's so bad.
I don't know.
I haven't gotten far.
It does get tough. It does get tough, but that's a great game.
Anything else? Final Fantasy quick impressions. Are you a diehard Final Fantasy fan or no?
You want my impressions? I have a confession. I didn't clarify something to you when I said that Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy.
You never
Final Fantasy. No. I did when back in 1999.
Yes, back in 1999.
Final Fantasy VIII was my first Final Fantasy.
Always
so it's like a nostalgic.
Oh
thing.
yeah. Dude, a lot of people like to hate on Final Fantasy, but then they go back and play it and they're like, this actually is a great game. And so
that's why I liked it so much, because it was like the first one I played. But I only played 8, 15, 7 remake, and 16 now. So I bought all the pixel remasters. And I'm jumping in. That's my next streaming game. I'm going to be streaming Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to getting into it because I never played those games.
So you never played original 7, original 9.
7 is a sad story. My mother did not let me get it.
Okay.
It was 1990. I wasn't 13 when it came out.
The devil's juice.
My mom was like, no.
Even though that game is really not that bad at all, but she being a good mom. Shout out to
T for teen. She didn't let me get it.
That's okay. So quickly on 16, is it as good as you? How about this? Are you enjoying it more than 7 remake?
Yes.
Oh, surprising. All right. Anything else you'd like to say? Because I don't know if I'll ever get to this. I'll be real. I beat 15 though, guys. I want to point it out there. I beat 15. I've beaten every one of them except for almost 9. I did 10.
Did you do 10 too?
I didn't do 10 too. I didn't finish 13. Well, maybe I did. I might have finished 13. I never did 12. I heard 12 probably was the one I would need to play, but I've beaten I'd say 75% of the more modern. Never did the pixel remastered ones. Never played those ones. So
well, the remasters I think they just came out last year, right? Or maybe 2021.
Yeah, they're relatively new.
What's the one?
So I just picked up. I picked up all. Yeah, that's 15. Where you ride around with your bros.
Dude,
in the car.
I love hanging out with my bros, man.
Horrible.
Cooking some food with your boys.
Dude, we're just camping, man.
16. I mean,
we don't do that, and we are your boys. We literally
hate camping, but that's why I do it in the game. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say 16. I don't know how controversial a statement this is for you, but 16 is probably one of the top 10 video games I've ever played.
Whoa! Have you finished it?
Oh, I'm like a solid 45, 50 hours in. My PlayStation is telling me I've only played 30 hours. That's not true. It's also telling me I'm 64% done with the game, and I don't feel like want it to end.
Wow. Well,
I'm
top 10 games ever played. Wow, I'm
listen,
shocked right here.
that lore feature that they have, it's called
Yeah, I heard that was good.
ATL. It is. I know what's going on all the time. I feel like I'm living like, and the Game of Thrones comparisons is they're real, and I feel like I'm reliving like a brand new style Game of Thrones, and it's great. I'm having an absolute blast.
I'm glad you are enjoying it, Matt. I say I don't know if Final Fantasy is for me anymore, but who knows? I eventually did play 15 when it was super cheap, and maybe I will play this down the road when it's cheap. It's just I'm happy for you. So this is definitely a game. Is this your leading game of the year?
This is currently my game of the year.
Yeah. Over Zelda. Interesting.
Yes.
Bacon, what have you been playing, brother?
Well, since I've been out of town, I haven't had a chance to play a lot, but I started playing a game while I was in the airport in Maui. It's called Phantom Abyss on Game Pass in preview.
Heard of it.
It's like a temple dungeon runner where there's like 20 dudes and you just watch people die and then you collect their essence, and it's a race to get to the next level, get the it's kind of a brain dead game. I don't have to overly think. I can listen to a podcast while I play it because there's no intriguing dialogue or story you're going to miss, and it's just dumb, mindless fun. There is a Chivos, even though it is in preview, so that's kind of nice. Then I've been playing some Battlefield again. Really enjoying Battlefield 2042. And I'm even playing that over Halo for some weird reason. Good lobbies, updates are great. So not a great week for me, but I will have more to report next week, I promise.
Yeah, but you were in Hawaii, so it sounds like a great week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Bacon is gone. Jose, I'll go really quick. Goose, I want to talk to you while I've still got you here. Goose, I recently completed, and I wrote this out to you guys. I finished Metroid Dread. Goose, if for some reason you have not played Metroid Dread on the Nintendo Switch, you need to go buy that immediately. So I tweeted out earlier, I give Metroid Dread, I said, I finished Metroid Dread, amazing. And I didn't write this in my tweet. I played entirely in handheld mode on the Switch Lite. So usually I like to play games with a controller, but the controls were really good for this game. I was actually surprised at how awesome the controls were for Metroid Dread. I played on the Switch Lite, and on the Nerd Chat review scale, I give it a 5 out of 5, a must play for Metroid fans. Pros, feels like Super Metroid in every way. Epic boss battles. The structure of gaining your powers and exploring the world grew on me. It made more sense the more I played. The visuals I thought were fantastic, especially for the Switch. And like I mentioned earlier, great controls. Like I didn't feel like I was missing anything not being on a controller and not having my back buttons. Cons, I mentioned this in previous episodes, the Emmy encounters, they just weren't fun. And especially the underwater one before I got the gravity suit. Oh, that was the worst part of the game right there. But fantastic game, guys. I recommend Metroid Dread. Probably my second favorite Metroid game to Super Metroid. It's really close. Like if it didn't have the Emmy encounters and just had more solid bosses, I think it would have passed it. So I can't recommend that enough, Goose. You need to play Metroid Dread. And then I also started Jedi Survivor. What a beautiful game. I played just the first where are you at? Coruscant first. I just completed that first area. I do notice I have it on the high frame rate road. I do notice a little bit of performance things going on there, which kind of sucks. It's not like major or anything, but I'm like, oh, I am seeing it, but I'm blown away. Respawn just knows how to make great level design. I love the platforming. Combat is fun, is solid. This is a game that normally I think I would try to get every achievement for, but now that I have a Switch and now we're getting into fall, guys, there's just too many games to play. I just don't know. I'm at the point where like I remember Bacon was saying he needs to focus. He wanted to focus less on achievements, and I'm right there with you guys. Like I need to play these games and not focus on getting 1390 out of 1390 on Gotham Knights, which was a serious grind of grinds. So I'm just gonna try. So my goal is to beat this for this month, beat Ghostwire, and go into Starfield and then never play another game again after that. And then the last thing I wanted to just share, if you can see behind me, I got Super Mario Odyssey that I'll just jump into in and out of. I haven't played I couldn't tell you the most recent Mario game I've played. That's probably it. I never played Sunshine, never played Galaxy, never played any of those older Mario games. So I'm interested to see about that. But that'll be a jump in and out of game. But the game that's currently in my Switch back there that I'm super excited to play is Skyward Sword, Matt. And because I hear it's kind of like a more traditional Zelda game before they were testing to get into Breath of the Wild, even with the wonky controls, which I do think are terrible. You're right, man. I think it's terrible. So, but I think I can adapt to it, and I'm excited to play an older game. I've always wanted to play Twilight Princess. Please, can we get a way to play these older Zelda games? Because I I love those older games, and I just want to play more. So that is what I have been playing. Matt, quickly, were you going to say something when I mentioned Zelda?
Oh no. I mean,
Did you ever finish it
yeah. Oh yeah.
on the Wii?
On Wii.
Okay,
Or was it? Yeah. Not
yeah, it was
not Wii
Wii.
U. It was Wii.
It was Wii.
I mean, I know there was a lot. I know there's so much technical work that go. It's not just a matter of like switching a few lines of code to like change the buttons. And I
They
believe
could have made it better.
I believe we did. I think Nintendo did release like statements saying like
We did everything, guys.
it's
This
not
is the
it's not
only
as
way.
easy as that. So there are some quality of life changes, like because I played it on Wii, I do have it on Switch. Um, but like yeah, like when you get frustrated and you just start like moving around those
Oh,
joysticks, and it's like
how about this? Which one is better to you, this one or Twilight Princess?
play princesses
Oh,
flawless. And that
dang it.
Nintendo sucks at preserving their games. That's an entire podcast on its own. So
Yeah, we don't need to get started on that. Jose, what have you been playing, brother?
I'm a pretty quick one this week. I did roll credits on Dredge, that horror fishing game. There's actually 2 endings. I did both endings, which is really cool. They were both really great. Tiny bit of Dave the Diver. Got a couple chicken dinners with Dan last weekend and his brother, which was actually, I admit, as much as I make fun of PUBG, and it is still janky
We got a
AF.
drone.
It is. I do like the drone edition. I like some of the new stuff. I still am not good at it by any means. Like I just get made fun of for picking the wrong guns, apparently, even though there's no guide. But it was a lot of fun. And then I want to get back into Jedi Survivor. And Dave the Diver is something that I'll just kind of play here and there because it's not like an amazing story, but it's a lot of fun to play. So that's really it, man. And we're working our way through Succession. We're just about to finish season 3, so we're almost ready to start the final season of Succession, just in time for their first place Emmy nomination number, right ahead of Last of Us. Actually, they got a ton of them, and I certainly hope Nick Offerman gets it because he certainly deserves it for that Emmy.
I did want to shout out, speaking of what we've been watching, Bacon and I saw Dead Reckoning Part 1. I said it was very good, much more emphasis on story this time around, and the enemy is very relevant in society today. A big focus on Haley Atwell's character. Kittredge is back, and it's not a small part. And I also said not as good of stunts as action as Mission Impossible Fallout, but solid story and pretty good pacing for a 2 hour and 45-minute long movie. I love the practical effects, especially the car sequences, the introduction, and the Italian nightclub scene. I said, I'm not sure where it ranks to the other Mission Impossible films. I need to see it again. Probably not the favorite of my series, but still an excellent movie and definitely setting up. I'm way more excited for part 2, Bacon. So quickly, what were your thoughts? I talked about a little bit like Deja Vu after we got back from it. He gave it a 9 out of 10. I was actually surprised. He loved it. But Bacon, quick thoughts on Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I did like the last one better. I see exactly where you're going with that, Dan. But any movie that can go 2 hours and 45 minutes and it not feel like 2 hours and 45 minutes, that says
Got to give
something
him
for a
credit.
movie,
Yeah.
right? There are times I've been sitting in some movies like, really? The timeless one, Tom Cruise continues his running technique is flawless.
And the Bacon, Jose did just show the clip of me sprinting by as Tom Cruise just now. So make sure you go check the VOD. See some
I am
true
the
running for him.
videographer of that clip. I will. It was a really good movie. yeah, I don't know where I rank it either. They're just all so good and so bombastic and out there. They're just fun to watch. The new female is kind of cute though, so I'll give that one.
Haley Atwell. Yeah.
Yes.
Shout out to Haley.
But it's super good.
Guys, let's close the show like we always do with the best food we had this week. Matt, do you know what you had, or should I save you for later? Because I've got a few things.
I mean, I know what I've eaten, if that's what you're asking.
Well, do you have your best food lined up?
You
and ready
you
to
go ahead. You go right
Okay.
ahead.
Let's start with bacon, because we know bacon is just a running joke. Did you have your cabbage and oatmeal?
So I talked about all the good food I ate last
Yes, in
week's
Hawaii.
episode,
Back
right?
to reality.
So we were in the airport and there's all kinds of confusion and cancellations and people
Shake Shack.
everywhere. And our flight was delayed. So we're like, oh boy, we're going to miss our connection in Sacramento. So the wife runs out real quick and gets these little sandwiches to take with us, because we're like, we don't know when we're going to get to eat again. We might be running to our next plane. And funny story is, they're like, Southwest does their freestyle seating, and like all of a sudden everybody's boarded the plane. And then a mom shows up with 2 kids, and they're like, these 3 have to sit together, so we're not taking off till someone moves. And so me and the wife are sitting there for a good 10 minutes. Nobody volunteers.
Really?
Right. Nobody volunteers. And they're like, we are not taking off till these guys
Whoa.
are sitting next to each other. So finally, the wife and I are like, we've been together for like 10 straight days. Hands go up. They feed us free alcohol as much as we wanted on the flight.
Nice.
He had
And
3 Michelob Ultras. This
I
guy.
did not actually. I had a pretty good IPA. And I got a little buzz on the flight. I don't advise doing that. I'm already not a great flyer, and when I'm buzzed, I'm just like overly like every bump and every. Anyways, so the wife opens up her Coke, sitting next to some strangers, and we think that's where she might have got her COVID. And she sprays Coke all over herself. So she's having a terrible flight. Anyways, we get into Sacramento. Long story short, we opened up these King Hawaiian sandwiches with no mayonnaise, no mustard anything on them. And the damn buns were so good that the ham and cheese sandwich was so damn good. And I carried that thing all the way from Hawaii to Sacramento, and it just completely hit the spot, and it was beautiful. And that's my story for my
Love
food I've
it.
eaten this
Love
week.
it, bacon. I'll go really quick here, Jose. I think the last time we were talking about food, Matt, maybe you had mentioned Shake Shack. I finally got to try it for the first time at the airport in Cleveland, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. I was like, whoa, I just got their standard shake burger with the shake smack sauce or whatever the heck they call it.
Yeah.
Oh, just a single blew me away. I was like, this destroys In-N-Out. This is incredible. But it was like $8.
You're at an airport too.
But is it really that much more expensive? I don't know. All I'm saying, the price to taste ratio. I don't know. It was fantastic. Hands down, one of my favorite burgers. I was like, I could eat 3 of these right now. And I wanted to go back bad, but I was like, I had already gained some weight from the vacation. So I was like, I can't do it. Shake Shack easily has climbed up my list as one of the best burgers, but that wasn't the best food I had this week. The best food I had this week was right before we went and saw the movie. Allie and I went to Homegrown Tap and Dough, and I actually went to their menu and I could tell you everything it had. First started out with a Manhattan as my first drink, then jumped into a Sangria de Casa, which is dark rum, blackberry peach, and ginger liqueur, $5 on happy hour. Delicious. Also got some meatballs as the appetizer for $5. Delicious. And then this is the standard pizza I get there, Jose. I get the Rustic Ranger, which was $18. Barbecue sauce, smoked mozzarella, chicken, bacon, caramelized onions, oregano, and green chili. My gosh, you guys, head over to Homegrown Tap and Dough. Shout out, delicious pizza, great drinks, especially during happy hour, 2 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Shout out. Jose, what was the best food you had?
Well, I know you're going to make fun of me because it's not the Homegrown Tap and Dough, but last night we went to my in-laws for dinner and they ordered Pizza Hut, which I'm a big fan of Domino's. I told Dan that I was wrong and it is very good, but they chose it and they're doing promotions right now for the Ninja Turtle movie that comes out next month, which makes me excited because I can't believe it's only a month away. But we had it, and honestly, it was amazing. Like, again, I don't know if I'm going to totally change my pizza habits again, but as a crazy treat that I wasn't expecting,
They're all good. They're all good,
man. I love all the pizzas, but it was good, man. So we had and a thin crust sausage, which I didn't think I would like, but it was actually really, really good. So again, not my normal order by any means, but it was pretty tasty. That was the best thing I had this week.
And Matt, what was the best food you had this week?
Still have my Shredder's Revenge Pizza Hut pan pizza coupon. It's good until
Ooh.
December, and there's no Pizza Hut around me.
Dang it.
Where are you? Where there's not a Pizza Hut around? What the heck is?
I mean, I don't think there's one like that close. All right, so it's funny. I was talking about I was talking with my wife earlier. I'm like, we're gonna talk about the best food we've ever had, and I told her what I was going to say, and she was like, if you say that, you're like, don't say that. Please don't say that. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna say it. So, my son, my kids go to camp. My son stayed home. He got hit in the head with a ball.
Oh,
So went to the doctor, concussion, nothing there, no concussion, but they wanted him to stay home from camp today, And so me and him are really into Dungeons and Dragons.
Love it.
I actually tweeted this earlier. I have Adventure Begins. It's like a younger version of Dungeons and Dragons, just to kind of introduce you as a noob. And we love playing that game, and we keep adding to that game, and we go out and we buy snacks. And today I bought Keebler Chips Deluxe, the M&M Keebler cookies.
Yes.
I haven't had them since I was a kid.
Yes.
My goodness.
Amazing.
Really good. And we bought the family size, and we
all gone.
Destroyed that package. He's like, how many did you have? I'm like, 2. Don't worry about it. I couldn't stop. They were like Chips Ahoy, I feel like has gone downhill. Oreo has kind of gone downhill, but the Keebler Chips Deluxe M&M cookies.
You bite your tongue.
I don't know. Maybe I struck a vein with the Oreo comment, but they're just not the same as I remember them. But these are even better than I remember. So I think the best. I mean, I was grilling all week, and it was good. But I don't know. Shout out to the Keebler Chips Deluxe.
Shout out to the EL Fudge himself. Those good. But speaking, I know you listen to Colin. Big fan of the EL Fudge cookies. I eat a package of those all the time on my own, Matt. So I absolutely encourage the Keebler Elf cookies as being the best food you had this week. No problems there, guys. Gentlemen, this has been the Nerd Chat episode 115. My name is Daddy Diwali. You can follow me at Daddy Diwali across all social media, including that Threads. You can follow the show at the Nerd Chat at podcast, I believe. I don't know. Just look up the Nerd Chat. We're there. Jose, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Chipotle_bear. You can also find me on Instagram and Threads at Chipotle Bear, and Twitch and Xbox, all that kind of stuff. Shout out to everybody for listening. Again, if you listened and you liked, you want to throw a thumbs up or subscribe, we really appreciate it. Also, quickly, Matt, I played Dungeons and Dragons for a while with Goose. Actually, that's a whole story for another time. But if you want to are you the DM for your journey with your son? I assuming like you're the dungeon master, right?
Yeah, we have some neighborhood friends and stuff come over, and another dad plays with us. But like the Adventure Begins box set, it's like I think it's ages 10 and up, or maybe 9 and up. So everybody gets to be the DM.
Oh, okay.
It's so different. It's so much fun. And I just don't think we're ready to graduate to the big kid stuff yet. Well, but yeah, I'm usually the DM.
If you get to make a cool item and you want a cool one from our playthrough, one of my favorite items that I got on my journey was a bag of bees. And the way it works is when you use it, you roll I think it was a D10, and whatever number you get is the number of bees that you get to control. Except if you roll a 1, you get a big ass giant bee that just does whatever you want for a certain amount of time. It was a fun thing, hilarious. I think it'd be funny with kids too. So just throwing that out.
That's all. I mean, we're not there and making our own stuff up, but we're starting to.
Nice.
We're starting to.
Nice. Well, thank you for everyone for listening. Matt, thank you for joining us, bud. We appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
Bacon, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at xbacongaming. You can also find me on Threads, xbacongaming with 2 N's for some weird reason. Now I'm gonna be getting out of these Twitter streets once this Activision deal is done, and get back to more serious life issues.
And thank you so much to Matthew Kennedy for joining us. Special guest. You are welcome here anytime you would like, buddy. Where can people find you?
Thank you for having me again, guys. You can find me on Twitter, MTKennedy7, and you can find me over at Twitch. I stream my backlog Tuesday nights, MKen10.
As always, gentlemen, see you online.
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 Look, it has begun.
It has begun.
The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast, is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. The show was created by Daniel Walenzik, and you can follow him at Daddy Diwali across all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_bear. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. The intern to the assistant to the co-hosts is Jason Jarrett, and you can follow him at XBaconGaming. You can also follow the show at The Nerd Chat across all social media. And if